60 plus taxis, right? So comparatively, we need to, I think, take on board. There is a lobby. There is definitely a lobby and a requirement to review that tax status.
Thank you, and I understand your sentiments. So I think what we're looking at, and firstly I want to highlight certain things. There's an issue of tax and there's an issue of charges. It's not just semantics. And what we're dealing at in FNA is an issue of high charges. And that's because we've privatized our airport. So we look at Accra, we look at these other airports that are run by the state, and we compare them to FNA that's run by a private business, which comes with its advantages, but it also comes with commercial costs and expenses. We can spend the whole day here, but I think when we compare, we have to compare fairly. The market in Accra, the market in Nigeria cannot be compared to what we have in Sierra Leone. And we all know what numbers and economics looks like. The higher you have, the easier for you to reduce your costs and still not lose in terms of your profits and your total baseline. We are still growing. So I think for me, the takeaway is we are not oblivious to the fact that there are challenges, but we have to embrace and celebrate the wins so that we can collectively, where we don't have the solutions, we are open to listening to what those solutions are. But we have to be, I think the thing is for me is that we have to be progressive. Our conversations, the tone, the concepts behind our conversations have to change to that of progression instead of just highlighting problems. Anybody can do that.
Absolutely. We have to be proactive. We have to be understanding of the environment. I understand that. Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Okay, just changing topic or changing direction a little bit. MD,
thank you.
MD, sir. So, and I know you're working tirelessly to reverse that with Mr. Stefano, ENAC, and the European regulators. Could you just tell us where we are on that journey?
I think this has been the topic I've spoke about the most in the past 1 year, 8 months. So, as a state, we've been on the European stop list or safety list since 2008. It is nothing new. We were on that list because at that time, there actually wasn't a CAA. All AOCs, and AOCs are what airlines use, it's like their license, it's what they use to operate. So all AOCs that were being issued from Sierra Leone at that time were not complying to the standards. So as a result, we were placed on a safety list back in 2008. So that meant all carriers registered in Sierra Leone having a call sign from Sierra Leone were not permitted to fly into the UK and the EU. Fast forward where we are now, we are still on that list. And I know you're going to be confused and say, but we have Air Sierra Leone that's coming to the UK today. And that's why I say we have had to be very, very innovative. We have had to think outside of the box. We've had to use every resource available to us to make this happen. And I won't complicate or bore with the particulars, but what I can say is the aircraft that's operating now has met the requirements and has ticked all the boxes to be given that permit to do this route. While we as a state, with our partners, continue to engage with the EU and the UK to make sure everything is consolidated, we will continue to have this route. And there's nothing that is a hindrance to that at the moment. So again, I think my friend did make some very good points in that last...
Your friends again.
Yes, we're friends now. He made some very good points in that last submission, and it really does come down to safety and security. You're not going to go anywhere with an airline without covering those two bases. And where Sierra Leone is now on those two benchmarks is recognized globally. So let's build on from that.
Thank you very much. So just to buttress a couple of points that Madam made, the aircraft that we're actually operating is with our partners, Ascend Airways. You may have seen the name if you've flown on the aircraft. In the last couple of days, you would have heard operated by Ascend Airways. Ascend Airways is a UK airline regulated by the UK CAA. So if there's still any doubts in anybody's mind about safety, I can promise you we have gone to one of the best operating carriers in the UK, which is regulated by the UK CAA, which is revered around the world. They consult as CAA International. That's how much they are revered. So you couldn't get a better partner. And safety, really, when we go home and we talk to our colleagues, we talk to our families, we should alleviate that concern from their minds, because this is real. The setup, we know what we went through to get this. It wasn't an easy feat, and to convince the UK CAA of the model that which we prescribed. Remember the phone calls, the CEO is here, and how we put all of our thoughts into this model of how we're going to make it happen, and then to convince the UK CAA to let us do it was epic. And everybody was involved, and it was a lot of work. So please, any safety concerns, they should just evaporate. We are operating to UK standards, and I'm sure once Madam DG fulfills her quest of eliminating Sierra Leone from the European the blacklist, we're going to adopt those same standards, and Air Sierra Leone through OBI are going to endorse those standards and continue to comply and raise those standards. Yeah? So safety, please, is a thing of the past. Be confident, be assured that this model is workable, it's highly regulated, and it's very safe.
Just a quick one. Myself and a group of young guys in Freetown, Sierra Leone have teamed up. These guys, they have set up a recruitment agency in Sierra Leone to help connect professionals, companies, businesses, as well as individuals together. So if you are a company, if you are a business person and you are looking for staff, contact us now, caboproperties@gmail.com. So these guys, they have from drivers to IT professionals to architects to cleaners, whatever. They basically cover all walks of life. If you're looking for a gateman, security, if you're looking for petrol attendants or just office assistants or attendants, reach out now, caboproperties@gmail.com. Okay, these guys are young professionals. They finished university. They've decided to create this agency so that they can employ themselves, but of course provide employment for other people who are struggling in Sierra Leone to get jobs. But of course, get you, the companies, the organizations, professional staff. So don't forget to contact us now, caboproperties@gmail.com, and let's have this discussion and make your life better. All right, get on with the video.
You talked about West Coast. What about East Coast? What about Central Africa? What about the South?
As of right now, when we look in terms of what the largest markets are from Sierra Leone, where Sierra Leoneans travel to and where people come from traveling to Sierra Leone, the vast majority of the 200 and something thousand passengers flew into Sierra Leone. North America, Europe, and West Africa account for nearly 90% of those.
Right.
So again, it's not as though there's not going to be potential from these. There is going to be a market. In South Africa, there is a small but not negligible market which comes in. There's a lot of mining ties. There's a lot of investment and so forth. Not as much in East Africa, but there are connections available through hubs in East Africa, whether it's Addis Ababa in Kenya, Addis Ababa or Nairobi. These hubs are there, which is why you see Ethiopian and Kenya Airways in Freetown. They are connecting to the hubs and onward. The reality, though, is there are lower hanging fruit. There's always a benefit from having an airline based at your airport in terms of schedule. When you are flying on, say, Royal Air Maroc from Lungi Airport, I've had this discussion with multiple people in the room today. You lose 2 days of your schedule because the day you're leaving, you have to, plan how you're going to get to Lungi and then go there before dark and then sit over there till 2 in the morning and then connect at Casablanca in the middle of the night and reach absolutely exhausted to where you're going to. You've lost the previous day, you've lost that day, and sometimes you lose the next day as well, depending if the flight's delayed. And when you have a based operator, the based operator bases its schedule on the home market. And I think that alone will wind up driving where a person may not take a trip because the schedules don't work for them. They will now maybe take a trip instead of making a Zoom call. People may come into Sierra Leone as opposed to going elsewhere in the region or staying home. And these are this is the market stimulation that occurs when you put in flights. And as we said, the Sierra Leone has grown tremendously in the last in the last year especially. We've seen tremendous growth, but that tremendous growth has been driven primarily by regional traffic rights. And I think that is really where the opportunity is going to be. Lagos, Accra, Banjul, that's the big three in terms of the region as to where Sierra Leoneans travel to and people who come to Sierra Leone. That's where you need to double down on. So that is where the focus is. And in due course, once you've got the hub in Sierra Leone, you've got connections to London, you can maybe start Johannesburg, because then Johannesburg will be able to be fed by Banjul, Freetown, Johannesburg passengers, as well as Johannesburg to Freetown, and Johannesburg to London via Freetown, and Johannesburg to Accra via Freetown, and a network effect builds up as you increase your destination. So focus on the destinations which make sense as Freetown right now, but then as those grow, the ability to feed that entire network via Freetown. The growth will come from when people choose to travel via Freetown, when Freetown has not been in their travel plans. And that is where a facility that's fit for purpose for transit passengers, where a regulatory regime without transit visas, without transit taxes, or low transit visa costs and low transit taxes costs and so forth, that is where this encourages airlines to transfer passengers in Freetown and basically creates, if not the Addis Ababa of the West, at least a competitor that's fit for purpose in West Africa.
Fantastic. I'm sorry I had to cut you off. I was pointing at my watch. I've been told we need to wrap up. So thank you very much to all the panelists. We could be sitting here all night, in fact. There's so much to discuss. So I'm sure we will at other opportunities. But thank you for your time, and thank you everybody for participating.
Right, folks, don't forget to
subscribe to this channel now.